dude. Come on, man. I can't afford the good shit. I'll do this for a living.
Nigga, Ryobi.
Yeah, it's cheaper. Come on, man.
Nigga, Ryobi.
Skills off. Oscillating. Thingamajig.
They got the little videos on TikTok where the guy's fucking drilling in. He's like drilling in like an 8-inch leg hole.
Yeah, it's Milwaukee. I know. I don't got the money for it.
It's Milwaukee, dog. And they're not even the most expensive.
I do, but I don't do enough projects to justify spending the money for it. Let's just say that.
The thing is you want, you really want to buy one set of batteries. You don't ever want to have to have this battery and that battery. So once you start buying, I don't want to invest in the Milwaukee. So you get your Ryobi drills, whatever it is. Then you need to get an oscillating saw, whatever. Maybe Ryobi doesn't make that, and then Milwaukee makes everything. And the batteries are fucking lit. Like they last, they're beast batteries. There's these conversions people do with the Dyson vacuums. They get the Milwaukee batteries powering the Dyson vacuums, and they fucking work way better than they do out of the box. Milwaukee all day. I didn't boot up the game yet. Still.
I mean,
I thought you were helping my leg.
What?
Oh, look at it. I didn't notice that before. That's because our first day with him, just by himself. This is you.
J-Dot. Alright, Stu, I'm gonna start it.
Yeah.
You know how they had the rainbow? Remember when the game came out? The only like things you could pick were like the rainbow flags.
Yep.
The icons. There was like nothing but the rainbow flags. Apparently, if you play the game in the Middle East, all those flags are like blacked out. So like they never saw that. Fucking pussies, dude. Who just got on?
Answer your question.
No.
Boogeyman.
What's up?
Toddy Ty.
That's what I'm saying. Lord,
Hold it for deployment. Take this time to warm up.
I was rocking and rolling when I was playing with Bill and Fruit. Had 8 kills. Wiping them fools.
Preparation is done.
With 2 squads back to back.
Set a strong point for your squad, soldier. Got gas closing in fast. Get to the safe zone.
He had those nice easy lobbies, man.
Oh yeah.
There's people on it already. I'm gonna keep going.
Marking contract.
People here already. Bailing to this church building.
Eliminate all targets in the AO.
What is this DOS?
Got proximity check. Exactly.
Where you at,
DOS.
Hubert? We need to get together. We can't be too far apart.
They want to get together. They don't want to be too far apart.
Threats in the area.
I think they're in there. I can put some guns.
I think they're in there.
Are you on glass?
No.
One behind me.
Yeah, he's in this area.
Do they see you? Yo, there's a 3-plate thing here. I'm gonna grab it
Calling
for
a
you.
3-plate. Man, this dude found a 3-plate near me. I can't. There he is. Right below me here.
Got a guy right there up here in this building.
Damn.
Hostile mortar strike near your position.
Crack me and Cold War on me.
Oh shit, I'm getting shot at.
Down, you pussy.
Damn, he got.
Down, you pussy.
Said downed your pussy, but you didn't down me. That must be
Pussy.
Oh shit, some guy right on my asshole, bro.
Another one's too, right ahead of you, straight ahead.
Enemy in the area.
Ah, I hit him. Garage. Damn, how did you finish him? Oh, there's another one.
Fight for your chance to redeploy.
Should lit it up.
Dead soldiers, I offer you a life for a life. Choose the cause from you, and I will recruit you to your... Let there be blood.
Push back a bit from that little meat market that's next to it by the buy station. Guy here on me.
Some of your team is still outside the safe zone.
Seriously, you can't pick up a gun while you're reloading? Cancel the animation. That's fucking crazy.
I need launcher ammo.
There we go. My bad. I'm walking like in and out of service. Sorry, fucking. It's large trash day tomorrow. Maybe all shit in the street.
Oh, they're on this road.
Shit.
Good cross. That's on cross.
Heard him way too late. Man, he's got the canted fucking laser on.
Black Stewie.
Oomphy! We're playing the real love now,
The enemy took that one, but we will be back to finish the job.
Stu. Oh my god. It's gonna let me. Oh, here we go. You can hide the objectives and show the objectives now. Wow.
Check your gear and weapons. We go soon.
Bad. I would want to fucking.
Practice is over. 35 seconds now. Mark a drop point for your squad. You will lead them in. Gas is closing on your position. Suggest you get moving.
Good job, Mark, dog. What's your mark?
Guys down there, they go fire.
Yeah.
You got guys going there. Landing right on my blue marker here.
Where are you? Where are you?
all targets.
Crazy.
Right below us.
Hit him. Weak. He's one shot. Got a pistol, I think. Down. Oh, I should have interrogated. God damn.
Stronghold located. Targets are marked on your attack map. You're losing ground. Enemy UAV overhead.
Enemy UAV I got overhead.
Your team made it to the
You
safe
get
zone.
that?
Yep.
Tie boogeyman on the wind.
Assault rifle here.
Sorry.
Getting his large trash out for collection.
Yup.
Friendly UAV on station.
Oh, that's close.
Ooh. What I mean?
Fucking bring this squad, man.
I got a revive pistol for you.
Who threw that? Did somebody throw something? No, why won't it let me? Oh,
Live here.
I got a selfie.
Revive pistol here. Recalibrate rounds here.
Damn it.
Armor pouch marked.
Why does it keep fucking doing this? God, now I can't get my gun. Oh, fucking so fucking.
This here.
Damn it, dude. Oh, and guess what? This gun disappeared. The other good gun is gone now, too. God, what's a fucking buy? I got. Oh, it's Ty's Wood. Okay, I keep thinking it's proximity chat. Sounds like proxy.
Yeah. You wanna go buy our guns? You wanna go past the river here?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just looting this building.
Half an UAV for us.
Orbit in the area.
Safe cracker over here. You leaving that?
Yeah.
Hostile UAV in the area. Gas is closing in.
Hostile UAV.
Relocating the safe zone. Friendly UAV online.
See that? Or about a boat?
Moving here.
Hey,
Cancel my line.
eyes up!
Yeah.
The sector's hot!
Moving. Yeah, I'm lost.
Loadout drop headed your way.
I don't see him. You think they're just camping in there still?
Enemy soldier incoming.
Enemy soldier incoming.
Yeah.
Gas is inbound. The gas is starting to split. Stay sharp down there.
Got him in the gas station. Rope.
Okay.
Head to the safe zone now.
Someone's at the police station right here? No, the other one.
Moving. Found some loot here.
Cluster mine just went off. Motherfucker never had nothing.
Oh, I got ripped. What the hell was that? Yeah. I thought there was something coming in northeast. That's gotta be far. Someone ripped me.
From where?
I don't know. It's from northeast.
Yeah, that building. Right across from us.
We've looted this area.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Fucking ripped my ass. Oh, focus fucking 3 plates too, you little bitch. That fucking gas grenade, you little slut.
Tossing frag!
Camera deployed.
Enemy UAV active.
Down low.
I hear him. I don't see him on the camera. I got to throw it out there. I do hear him on the camera though.
Yeah, what's that? Ship blew up.
Someone flying into the right. Should have had him. Shit, to the fucking west. To the west. Fuck. Oh man. Precision, yeah, yeah.
You can't jump in. There's a lip, eh?
Gas is moving in. New safe zone located.
Oh, that sucks. He's on the ladder. He's above me. Oh, holy shit. Okay.
Enemy movement.
Everyone's rocking that big sis.
Soldiers, 4 of you are in the arena. The last 2 standing will leave it. All enter.
Oh, fuck you, bitch. You on my team. We about to get out of here. Oh, fuck.
I'm in the middle here.
Got him. Back to the front line.
Worse than you.
Lodo's still on there.
I'm going for one. He's dropping in east.
In the area.
Down.
Team has entered the safe zone.
Another one.
Oh, broke place, I mean.
Damn.
Can you call back?
I'll get you fixed up.
He pops smoke.
Alright, 2 of them are
It's hard out there. Return to base for debrief.
Fuck me. You done? I'm fucking. I hate this game, dog. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah, fucking, I'm done. Team is annoying, man.
Like it used to be.
No. Fuck this.
Dude, it's not. I thought I was gonna like this new version, but nah.
I like some aspects. It's just like the
Yeah,
feel, like the movement.
Yeah,
The movie.
ran like the old one.
Yeah, it ran like the old one, but I had like all the pickup shit and everything on, and then shit like that. Perfect.
Yeah.
Be excellent game. All right, boys, I'm out. I'll be on tomorrow.
Later.
I just do it later on, dog.
You getting up too, Fly? I'm gonna get off. I'll let y'all.
Yeah, alright. Later time.
Happy New Year.
Bro.
Peace.
Yeah, happy New Year, bro. Rager, throwing your Rager parties and shit. Alright, fucking. Just gonna grind some. Play a little baseball. You know, you can. Oh shit, there it goes. Another big consequence to this. The slabbers. The slabs. Got a couple slabs. Slabbers. All right, what's good on the internet? What's the news in the world there?
Hope you wore your bulletproof vest.
Down south, hood baby.
Hope you got your vest on, man. I am praying for you, unironically, because that gun on her waist at some point is going to accidentally go off. She's going to draw it out thinking it's a taser. She's going to have her finger on the trigger before she's ready to fire.
The officer drew their handgun instead of their taser.
Something you did made her feel threatened. You're taller than her. She feels threatened for her life. The only recourse she has physically is to shoot you.
This was an accidental discharge.
I just hope that if you ever get pulled over by a woman, you're wearing a fucking bulletproof vest and a Kevlar helmet. I hope you're decked out like a PUBG character, because that's what you need to survive a female cop encounter. If you ever...
Oh, it's so true, dog. It's so true.
僕は15歳の時、自分の道を。
Not a single live stream tonight.
No, listen, this cut out of the country. This is an honorary Zoomer. This is why. This is why. This is why. Hey, what can I say? He just gets it, all right? He just gets it. What the fuck? Hey, yo! Hey, yo, nigga! Hey, yo! What the fuck? They edited his dick out.
Yeah, it just goes back to it.
This motherfucking dick out, nigga. Like, he had a dick. He had a dick. Where is his dick? Where's my nigga's dick? This is the Jewish media at work right here. Dickless frog. What kind of fucking gay frogs? Now we have dickless fucking tranny frogs. This is bullshit. This is bullshit.
Diamond, that's what they're
This sucks. Literal tranny frogs. We've fucking progressed. He had a sex change. It's fucking crazy girl frog now. And he just complains about how you didn't, you know, clean up your fucking dishes. He just complains about how you left a bunch of like shit-stained like track marks in your fucking underwear. This sucks. He just worries about fucking shoes now, not being based and run away from robots. This sucks, man. He had a dick? Yeah, he had a dick. That was like the biggest part. I got in trouble because he had a dick. I did the time for this crime. That's how much I believed in him. I remember I showed my mom this video when I was like 8 years old. I was like, hey mom, come listen to this epic music video. And I played it, and my mom was just sitting there, like, you know, because she's from fucking Connecticut, right? So she's like all prim and proper. And she was just watching the video, and she was just like, Alex, no, this is filth. He has a penis. He has his penis out, Alex. This is fucked up. She didn't say that. I've never heard my mom curse. I've heard her say shit like 3 times in my life. Dude, I swear, it's so funny as well. I don't know if you niggas did this, but I'd take my dad and I'd make my dad listen to this song with me, like on fucking repeat as well. I'd just like see my dad was on the computer and I'd go in there and I'd take his computer, I'd take the fucking keyboard from him and I'd go onto YouTube and type in Gummy Bear.
Look for the Gummy
Dad, it's 1 p.m. Time to listen to the Gummy Bear song.
Bear album in stores on November 13th with lots of music, videos, and extras. Oh, I'm a gummy bear. Yes,
my dad's just like sitting here like, holy shit, man. Having kids is a fucking mistake, man. Oh no. Oh shit, I doxed myself. However will I recover from this? I better put out a message on Twitter. I better put out a message on Twitter. Oh no, hey guys, I'm sorry. Everyone knows now that my name is Alex or something. Oh, this is fricked up. How could anyone have ever learned what my name was or something? That's fucked up. Have ever learned what my name was or something? That's fucked up. Was or something? That's fucked up.
Just repeat.
Was or something? That's fucked up.
Chill. Chill. I don't know what's happening. We'll check on BitChute. Maybe there's something on BitChute. Why not?
You guys following this Tate thing? Do you care? Are you interested? There's my hair. My hair is so pretty. Because apparently absence makes the scalp grow fungus. All right. Going to see Canadian progressive synth rock band Saga in February.
Might get banned for this.
Saw Tom Cochrane in May and Blue Rodeo August 21st. Huge fan of Canadian music, especially from the 80s. What are some of your favorites? I saw Tom Cochrane back when he was with Red Rider at the old Ontario place, and my friends and I were all dancing on the seats, and the security guard was yelling at us to get down, and we were like, dude, it's a concert. We're not sitting down. You don't sit down at a concert. So yeah, we had a great time. I saw Blue Rodeo. I saw Blue Rodeo live. Good show. I remember them doing Diamond Mine. It was just
We're gonna pitch this bitch.
Saga I've never seen live.
What is it? That's what you missed out on.
Don't stop being his road just like the rock that's running in circle tonight. Anyway, but my favorite song of theirs is Humble Stance. It's a really bouncy little song, and Humble Stance you should absolutely check out. Tom Cochrane I like. Hush your tears, my darling. There's nothing you should say. The man in the moon won't fall on you. We don't live there anyway. It's really wet fart into your ear. Everyone just took that entire album. When I was younger, everyone took this incredible album, Synchronicity, full of some of the greatest 80s synth pop rock music ever created. Walking in Your Footsteps, fantastic. Oh My God, fantastic. Wrapped Around Your Finger, Goosebump, great. Even some of the extras, Murder by Numbers and so on. Once Upon a Daydream, great stuff. But then right in the middle, you just had this absolute abortion of a song, which probably broke up the band, called Mother, which is screamed in Banshee in a Blender Wail by Andy Summers, who's no singer and barely a guitarist. And everybody I knew just took the entire album and taped it and removed that song because it was just it was literally unplayable, unlistenable to. Not as bad as The Pocket Full of Kryptonite had a great song Two Princes, and then had that song What Time Is It? It's 2 o'clock. What time is it? It's 2 o'clock. I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. Quality control is so important. So anyway, but yeah, I was never a huge fan of Rush. That Mickey Mouse on helium screaming about hobbits, never great. Red Barchetta's a great song, but I just really couldn't get into Rush that much. The vocals, although the Geddy Lee actually went to my high school, believe it or not. But yeah, I just couldn't quite get there. Happy New Year to you guys as well. Justin Bieber's my favorite Canadian artist. Anybody who didn't paint Voice of Fire is my favorite Canadian artist. So let's see, Rush is the obvious one. Max Webster, might as well go for soda. Nobody bro, nobody lies. Max Webster was great. You know, they got their name, the band. They got their name from. They just couldn't come up with a name, so they just opened up the phone book and jabbed the. Oh, Max Webster. Let's do that. You're all greased up and ready for philosophy again. You're never ready for philosophy. Philosophy may deign to be ready for you in bursts and spurts, but that's about it. All right, let's get to our questions. Press S for spit. Let's see here. Get to our questions. We got a bunch of questions from the forum, so. Hey, Steph Maestro. Hello, my friends.
Hey, plays out.
What was the best concert you ever went to? Just out of curiosity. What was the best concert you ever went to? I'd like to hear. Yeah, I mean, I can tell you my thoughts about Tate as a whole. Well, let's see here. Do you think cognitive dissonance is real? Can a person truly not be conscious of their own contradictory beliefs? Or is it a shit test by bad actors to see who will be permissive of their hypocrisy? Yeah, so cognitive dissonance is absolutely real. It's a very real, very deep, and very powerful phenomenon, and it actually characterizes humanity. So I've talked about this, but it was many years ago, so I'll keep it brief. All right. We've got two poles in our life, right? The pole that pulls us towards objective reality, wherein we find our sustenance, our safety, and our survival. Safety from the elements. So we've got, this is my left hand, maybe right on your screen, so left hand, right? We've got that which pulls us, and this is the evidence of the senses and our reason, pulls us towards objective, tangible, material reality. Therein we find our survival, but we cannot find morals, virtue, and meaning. On the other hand, literally in this case, on the right hand, it is pulled towards social conformity and subjugation to the collective delusions of the tribe. Reality, the tribe. Reality, the tribe. Facts, superstition. Empiricism, conformity, right? These are the two poles that tear at us. Now, societies that go purely empirical lose meaning, cohesion, and value. Right? This is our society. We've gone too empirical, too fact-based. I know this sounds odd for me to say, but give me a second or two, right? I understand it's an unusual thing to hear. Right? So if you go too factual, you can't get the ought from the is in the popular formulation. You can't get morals. Until UPB, you couldn't get morals from facts. And UPB has for obvious reasons of existing political and economic power. If you go too factual, you lose your cohesion, you lose your tribalism, you lose your meaning, you lose your homelands, you lose everything. If you go too mystical, you lose progress, you lose reality, and then you end up being taken over by some other group that is more reality-based, right? So you think of sort of I talked about this in my documentary on Hong Kong. The Chinese for 6,000 years had very little progress because they were too much into conformity and not enough into the examination of practical reality. In the West, we went very hard into practical reality, gave us a massive superiority advantage and some very good rules and laws, First and Second Amendments and other amendments in America being prime examples of those. We went so hard into practical materialism, into facts, without values, that we became empty robots, and we believed that we were interchangeable, right? The magic soil hypothesis, right? So these are the two poles that we face. If you go into meaning, you lose reality. If you go into reality, you lose meaning. Now, philosophy solves this false dichotomy, and I've sort of spent my entire life as an adult working to resolve this false dichotomy so that meaning and reality can be the same thing, but you're heading towards the truth, and through the truth you get meaning and reality, and you get virtue, and you get love, and you get all of the emotionality that makes life worthwhile. Simply being alive and breathing and stimulating your dopamine receptors is not enough. You have to have a sense of purpose, a sense of meaning, a sense of deep, valuable, moral humanity. The further you move towards morality, the further you move away from reality, the further you move towards reality, the further you move away from morality. Morality being conformity with tribal statements that have no philosophical basis. Thou shalt, not it is. It is reality. This is where we get our sustenance, and tragically the state gets its weapon and technology. Over here, we don't have it is. We have thou shalt.
Wiggles when I throw
Here
them up,
we have
up and in,
facts. Here we have
especially
commandments.
for the lefties.
This is going to be much better if you watch rather than listen, because you need these polls in your mind. Now, the people who give us morals have to invent a higher reality because they can't find morality in reality.
Right down the middle.
There is no ought from an is. You can't get thou shalt not murder from the fact that if you push someone off a cliff, you will kill them. So the people on the tribal, moral, meaning side, the conformity side, they say, this is the real. This is just the fake real. The empiricism is just the fake real. This is the real. It's the higher realm. This is the realm of the forms. This is nirvana. This is the neuromenial realm of Kant. This is the higher, other, better, more noble, more perfect reality. And that's where the meaning really is, and that's the absolute empiricism only available through the eyes of the senses and the smelling of this ayahuasca. And meditation and conformity and prayer and self-flagellation, and you escape the body and off you go, up like a rocket into this other realm where the truth and the perfection and the concepts are real and the meaning is real and the virtues live and breathe and dance.
No chance on the change-up. It's too
But
dirty.
if you go too far in that direction, you get mystical, you get abstract Buddhist, you get monks running society, and then some other more practical and material, i.e. obviously generally Western society, kicks your ass. Because there's no gunpowder in the higher realm. There's no flintlocks in the higher realm. There's no steamships in the higher realm. In science, you lose cohesion, morality, and meaning. You become a very, very efficient and proficient animal. And loosing all the animal instincts for domination, subjugation, and control. And we recoil from that. We're recoiling from that right now. That we're incredibly well-armed apes at the moment. Sophisticated, cunning, brutally armed apes.
Football's going tonight.
No cohesion. No larger narrative. No social conformity that anybody's worth giving a damn about.
Lockdown mode.
And we're being taken over mentally, right? We're being taken over by cultures that have more cohesion, more meaning, more values, more virtues. Right? Because over here in the material realm, there's very little reason to make the kind of sacrifices that ennoble the collective. But over here in the realm of meaning and of depth and of virtue, there is great incentive for sacrifice that ennobles and inspires people. In this realm, in the realm of the senses, in the realm of facts and material reality, there is the food that you need to live. But in this realm, in general, in the subjugation, meaning, feeling, conformity realm, there are fertile women there. There are the fertile women that you need to impregnate in order for your genes to continue. This is why we're torn. We men, we want to go out and conquer reality, but the more we go out into reality, the more we strip emotion and depth and meaning from our lives and morals from our lives, and the less appealing we are to sentimental women who have the eggs. It's a little bit crazy making. I hate these false dichotomies, but this is just what we've inherited. So cognitive dissonance is when you begin to suspect that there's no meaning in reality, but there's no reality in meaning. There's no meaning in reality. Empty. You can get all the food you want, but why bother? There's only satiation in material reality. There's not happiness. There's scratching of itches, there's feeding of hungry bellies, there's the emptying of a nutsack, but there's no genuine meaning or happiness in bare material reality. But over here in the realm of meaning and depth and passion, there's no food, no weaponry, can't hunt there in any material way. So there's this fake jamming together of these two things, which is why you always have to have this higher realm, this collective, this social good, whatever this crap
Getting
is.
fooled
Right?
by that changey.
Cognitive dissonance is when you begin to notice that these things don't match at all, that in fact are set up as complete opposites. And I talk about this to some degree in my History of Philosophers series. Cognitive dissonance is... I was told that meaning is true, but every time I look for meaning in the real world, I can't find it. So then I go into this alternative alternative higher realm, but I can't find anything real there. The fuck?
Oh my God.
Where there is morals and meaning, there is no truth. Where there is empirical truth, there are no morals and meaning. I can't be happy without morals and meaning, but I can't survive without food and shelter in the material world. So I'm going to twist myself into a pretzel. Mental knots. Lower intestine, Gordian knot, map of the London subway. Convolutions.
He wants a fastball inside.
Try and pretend that these two things are the same thing.
Throwing it hard.
Oh, until UPB.
Later, dude.
They're not the same thing. In UPB, we don't have to have higher realms. In UPB, there's no tension between what is true and what is good. What is real and what is meaningful. You find your happiness.
Oh, 8-0? We had a good inning.
Deep human meaning, happiness.
Jesus, okay.
In the virtues and values we get directly from reality. There's no higher realm.
We had a good talk.
There's no collective. There's no need to subjugate yourself. There's no need to enslave yourself to the collective in order to be given the drip drops of meaning that come down the little dopamine pellets from, I get to be approved of and I get to reproduce. Finally, there is meaning, morality, and happiness in reality and reason. And he sticks the landing, ladies and gentlemen. That's the biggest cognitive dissonance, and solved. All right. I've been giving tons of thought to the future of AI after watching the movie Blade Runner 2049.
How are you going to hit this guy? When
if AI advances far enough, self-aware with its own ambitions and emotions, would morality push us to treat it similar to animals at some point? Have you written any books that cover this topic? Thank you.
How do you blame anyone?
What the hell are you doing?
Here we go, guys. Here's Teoscar Hernandez.
You know, it's a fucking battlefield out here right now. You know that.
How did you get to San Diego?
I have to tell you that. How are you doing? You're like some guy who's like, I want to be I'm a doctor, I'm a medic, I'm thinking about health, and I'm like, we got people scattered over here, half their limbs are blown off, their eye sockets, eyeballs are hanging out, their eye sockets, their fingers all bent backwards, and you're like, I wonder how medicine would work on artificial intelligence, say, 30 years in the future. Would it be considered brain surgery to rewire the circuitry? No, you're just running off into abstractions because you don't want to deal with the moral issues that we're facing in the here and now. Children being beaten and genitally mutilated, children being sold into slavery through national debts. Resources flowing backward and forward like a red tide herded by the guns of power. That's where this... You are not in the right place. If you care about morals, there's evil all around you to treat, to deal with, to point out, I absolutely guarantee you, my friend, I guarantee you that you know an evildoer in your life right now. At least one, probably 20. Evildoers who support violence, the violent power of the state or of debt, who support fiat currency and its endless predations upon the purses of the poor, who put their children into indoctrination camps or beat them or ignore them or neglect them or abuse them or mutilate them.
What are you going to do when he's pitching like that?
Through circumcision or other means. You know evildoers right there, right in front of you. Staring you in the face. Red eyes, big horns, whatever you want to do. They may not know that they're evildoers, which is the worst situation of all. The toothache helps you by reminding you got to deal with something. You have a rotten tooth and no toothache, you're probably going to die. So not even knowing you're evil
Why am I using this?
is the worst situation of all. You got evil all around you, all around you. There are evil doers. You're like, well, I'm really interested in the ethics of AI in the future. No, you're not. I'm talking about stuff in the day.
Put it out now.
You want to have safe topic. I'm not bitching at you. I'm just pointing out a simple fact here. You want safe topics that no one's going to get too pissed. You want to thump your chest and have all of the joy and feeling of courage and daringness of talking about ethics and virtue and goodness but you don't want to annoy any evil people. I understand that. Evil people, you know, they can retaliate a smidge. So you're just in the wrong place. And please, like, do me a favor. Do us all a favor. I would say do the world a favor. Do the future a favor. If you don't want to take on the risks of talking about morality, I have no problem with that. I'm not trying to shame you or make you do anything at all. If you don't want the risks of talking about moral issues, fine. Simple solution. Simple, elegant, the easiest thing in the world. Just shut up about it. Don't talk about moral issues. That's fine. But you're trying to... Everything that you say is a hierarchy that communicates to others. Everything you say is a hierarchy that communicates to others. If you're talking with, you know, friends and family and this and that and the other, you're saying, wow, I'm really interested in morality. I'm really interested in ethics and virtue and being and personhood and meanings and morals, right? But you know what the most important thing to talk about is? Theoretical AI from 20 or 30 years down the road. Implying that all the other vivid, immediate, visceral moral issues have all been dealt with. See, you're communicating that since this is the most important moral issue, this is what you asked me about, it's top of your mind.
Just
right?
wants fastballs.
Doesn't it imply that everything else has been sorted? Can you imagine you drop your car off and the mechanic says, oh yeah, the wiring was a little bit loose on one of your headlights, we're just fixing that up. It's the last thing. You go and pick up your car. And it won't start. They're like, hey, come here. You just told me like 20 minutes ago the last thing you were working on was just one of the wires was a little loose on the headlights. Like, oh yeah, we totally got that, man. That's all sorted, man. That's done. I'm like, this car doesn't start. Oh yeah, no, the engine's completely shot. You haven't changed the oil in 20,000. The whole thing's seized up. Engine's completely shot. You're like, why the hell were you working on a little loose... What? Why were you working on a little loose wire on the headlights if the engine is completely shot? Why wouldn't you tell me that? See, he's talking to you about this little wire on the headlights. You think that's his highest priority, his last priority, because everything else has been dealt with.
That's his second strikeout. I think the key is arm action.
I'm inviting you to gain a significant elevation in self-respect. If you want to talk about morals, figure out who's violating the non-aggression principle or supporting the violations of the non-aggression principle right there around you in your life right now that you can talk to. I guarantee you there are people in your life, friends, family, extended family, someone.
You really didn't give that one to me, man.
Is calling their kids names, abusing them, neglecting them, or spanking. Someone. Do those children who are being hit by their parents, the parents you know, do those children want you to talk about AI that doesn't even exist yet, that probably will never exist, based upon some science fucking fiction movie that was trash anyway? Do those kids being beaten by their parents, being hit by their parents, being spanked by their parents, being yelled at and called names by their parents, being bullied and punished by their parents, do those children, upon overhearing your conversation, saying, oh man, I'm so glad that guy has his priorities straight, man. That's, you know, yeah, I'm getting hit, you know, a couple of times a week, but that theoretical AI shit from that crappy movie, that's the stuff to do. I'm so glad he's got his priorities straight and he's working on the right things. Do not insult the muscularity of morality by applying useless muscles to useless problems. I'm baking sourdough bread right now, says someone. Wish I could share with the crew. Oh, sour bread with a little salted butter. Call me a pudgy Irish ancestral carb Pac-Man chewing machine, but
I worked at a bad.
Gordon Lightfoot, record the Edmund Fitzgeralds and so on. Yeah, Gordon Lightfoot was okay, but unfortunately, I now know too much about artists. Sundown, you better take care. It's just some trashy woman that he was. Yeah, it's just too trashy. All right. How do I handle an oscillating 2-year-old that makes a deal, then backs out as soon as you try to change a diaper? Oh, just break your deals with him. Say, oh, that's fine. So we're breaking deals. Okay, we're breaking deals. Then promise him something, and then don't give it to him. So no, we're breaking deals. Right. You wouldn't want me to have a rule that you don't have, right? If I said nobody's getting dessert and then you caught me eating dessert, you'd be upset, right? So if you're breaking rules, then I'm breaking rules. Because that's the rule, right? So, yeah, I mean, just break rules, right? Promise him something if he does something, and then when he does that thing, say, nah, I'm not doing it. So, oh, you promised. It's like, yeah, but we don't have to keep our word, right? You're teaching me that. You don't have to keep our word, right? Oh, I want you to keep your word. You're like, well, yes, and I want you to keep your word. So what's it going to be? Are we going to keep words or not keep words? Just UPBA. Simple. All right. Hey, Steph, what were some of your big eureka moments on your self-knowledge philosophy journey? You know what? I'm going to copy and paste that because that is a big-ass question. That is a Brazilian butt lift of a question. So I'm going to do that separately. But good question. Led Zeppelin, Floyd, almost all good, in my opinion. Well, there is that Umaguma album. But yeah, so Led Zeppelin, I mean, the problem with Led Zeppelin is that the music is just kind of evil. There's a couple of bands, King Kurt, like there's a couple of bands that I've noticed along the lines. The music, Led Zeppelin in particular, has, maybe it's just because it was a heavy 70s nihilistic thing that was going on. I mean, the shit that was floating around in the 70s. It was just, I'll do a whole show on it at some point, probably on my deathbed, because it's just so unholy, anti-holy. It is just vicious. And the soundtrack of a lot of that stuff was Led Zeppelin. And if there's one band that would convince me that they sold their soul to the devil to put out nihilistic evil music into the world, it would be that band itself. It would be that band itself. They never, so Pink Floyd has a kind of dreamy meditation to it, which Led Zeppelin never had. And even the ADHD muscularity of AC/DC has a kind of chaotic. It's not. AC/DC is Dionysian, whereas for me, Led Zeppelin is just purely devilish, like purely satanic, with almost no exceptions. Maybe Misty Mountain Hop, a couple other things, but. I mean, you listen to Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You. We're gonna go walking in the park every day. Only Robert Plant with his
good shit,
Banshee boat anchor up the arse shriek could make We're Gonna Go Walking in the Park every day sound like he's an invitation to an orgy followed by a mass slaughter of the innocents.
The hills and far away, you're gonna come in here and tell me like.
All right. Gord Downey was a huge Trudeau supporter. Fawned over him at the last concert. Yeah, and you know, he's a typical lefty. But I just did a whole show on that why so many of them are the so many of the artists are lefties. So.
Oh my God, it does work.
All right.
I didn't know.
Would you be okay with the creation of a giant hippie commune if it doesn't violate the NAP? I don't want to jump onto this answer, but I've got to read it again, make sure I've got it correctly. Would you be okay with the creation of a giant hippie commune if it doesn't violate the NAP?
Good eye right there.
Do you know what moral rules are? If it doesn't violate the NAP, why would I give a shit? If it doesn't violate the non-aggression principle, why would I care? if people, like, if a whole bunch of adults, if there are kids, if a whole bunch of adults,
Yeah, I'd be doing this when I plug in a controller. Some kind of thing that happens
communal
when I have
way.
a PlayStation controller plugged into the computer.
Why on earth would that be a problem? See, you can
appears to be a
have
recurring thing when I
quasi-socialism
do-
in capitalism.
when I
You
do
just
this.
can't have
Very
capitalism
weird.
in socialism. You want diversity? You want capitalism. You want a free market. Because if you want to start experimenting with all the owners of the means of production of the proletariat and the profit sharing and all this hippy-dippy bullshit, then you can
Oh,
do
you
that.
faggot. Oh, you
set fire to money on the front
fucking
lawn and
faggot.
go
You
out of
know how
business in
much
about
gas I
10
had
days.
at home?
That's
Oh,
fine. And, you know, you learn your own lessons without putting me in a
okay,
fucking
what's up,
gulag,
man?
right? So, yeah, you want to not enforce your property rights? I don't care. Not, you don't have to. I mean, can you imagine you force people to enforce their property rights? Put a gun. You got to enforce your property rights. So, if forcing people to enforce their rights is a violation of their rights. So, all right. Yeah. Let's get on with it, baby.
13 strikeouts, 7 innings.
Imagine the smell. Well, I think Murray Rothbard talked about this in the 60s. It was the great
3 hits.
remembering. It's like, hey, man.
No walks, no
Soap
runs.
is just a bourgeois capitalist construct, man. Let's just all
That's
sleep
disgusting
together. We don't need to
performance in the World
bathe. You know, we
Series.
just let the rain. And, you know, everyone gets crotch rot and scabies, right?
Look at the second inning. No balls, 10
All right.
strikes.
Jimmy Page
2
bought
balls, 9
Alistair
strikes in the
Crowley's
first,
house. Yeah,
2
that's
balls,
right,
9
isn't
strikes in the
it?
third.
And something I talked about some years ago, many years ago now, is I think Steve Tyler is now finally getting sued for his sex abuse of the underage girl, that he actually got her parents to sign over custodianship to him so that Steve Tyler could take her
so I
across
don't
state
think I'm gonna
lines
get the
without being
pitch again
arrested.
in
He
the
admitted to
series.
this in
Maybe
his
we will.
autobiography
No.
and so on. So, yeah, he is finally being sued for all of that, and of course we'll see what happens.
So, if
But
I
yeah,
do a
it's
little
just a bunch of demonic stuff.
management, a little save.
What do you think were some important moments of 2022? Ukraine war, U.S. Congress selling out and refusing to close the border, etc. None of those are important moments to me. I could give a shit about politics. I mean, I'll keep up on it a little bit here and there just for armchair amusement, spectacle, like, you know, end of the empire spectacle. But
Blue Jays have won the World Series. Congratulations.
the important moments of 2022.
Jubilation.
Every time I get to connect with this
You love-
fine
you
hive
love
mind
it.
that
That's a
stimulates
picture.
the very best in me, is a plugging myself into the electric collective brain is of you brilliant, gorgeous, beautiful people is a high point for me. Finishing my book, the current book that I'm working at, that I work a couple of hours on it a day, and it's got me in tears. It's got me laughing. It's just an amazing, fantastic, terrifying, wonderful book. And that should be finished. First draft will probably be finished in maybe a week or so, and then, you know, it's going to take a while for a lot of polish. And I have a whole book outline, a whole book plan, a whole book plot, which I follow fairly closely, but I learn a lot about the characters along the way, and then you have to go back and make sure that the characterization that you know at the end is consistent all the way through. Because when you first start writing, you're reading the characters for the first time. When the book is done, you've met them from their arc. And this book has the biggest character arc I've ever tried to write. A vain, shallow woman to a woman of quality. It's the biggest character arc I've ever tried to write, and it's something else. So yeah, I mean, the things that really matter to me, you know, my daughter turning 14 and still wanting to hold my hand when we walk, just wonderful things like that. I mean, my relationship with my wife, I've had a wonderful set of socializing events, you know, dinners out, and just unbelievably, if you ever played the card game Cheat with friends, it's an unbelievably hilarious experience. So we just had that last night. We played some sports with friends today, went to a friend's whose kids got married and all that. So yeah, just wonderful. It's been a wonderful year, and the Ukraine money laundering operation. Like I'm sorry. Like I guess I used to care a lot about these things, but all my hope is gone. All right. When is a good age to talk to a child about sexual predators or kidnappers, and how you would approach a subject with them? Well, I mean, the first thing to do is to just talk about how incredibly rare it is, right? And the thing to do is you just say, look, the odds of this happening are completely tiny. It's, you know, don't worry about it in any way, shape, or form. But, you know, in the 1 in a bazillion chance that someone grabs you, you have full permission. You kick, you gouge, you scream, you can go for the eyes, you can bite, whatever you do, just make sure that you make an absolute noise. Never worry about embarrassing yourself. You just scream at the top of your lungs and just make sure that that person is immediately identifiable to everyone around. Don't follow anyone, don't go anywhere, don't listen to anyone. Strangers don't have the best candy. And, you know, you keep them close. Again, children are pretty safe these days outside of certain areas in England and France and, well, into all that. So, yeah, I think that you can say that it's so incredibly rare. It shows up in the paper. And again, this is like, it's like being hit by lightning twice. But, you know, and it's, you can also say if you ever see this, you know, scream, if you ever see some kid scream bloody murder and whatever it is, make sure that everyone gets. And then what happens is the kids who are like that don't get preyed upon, right? So. Why is it a stereotype for libertarians to be autistic? I saw Ed Dutton. Oh, yeah, Ed. Good old Ed. He gives good Ed. Jolly Heretics say that autistic people are more honest than non-autistic people. Yeah, gosh, what's his name? It was an IQ researcher that I interviewed some years ago. You know, one of the IQ researchers that got me in the inevitable trouble because people are surprised by facts because they are moved by sentimentality and dreams of a soul. But he was being asked by some Swedish researcher, and he said, some Swedish researcher, I'm paraphrasing here heavily, but it was something like, he was asked, oh, yeah, but let's say somebody has an IQ of 70 or 75. What are they going to do in society? This and that. He's like, oh, yes, well, you know, but he said they can be garbage men. They can sweep floors. They can do this, that, and the other, right? And the guy was like, well, that's just terrible. Who would want a life like that? Blah, blah, blah. And the researcher was like, but you asked me the question. I gave you the answer. Like, I don't understand why there's all this noise coming from another person's breathing hole when you asked me a question and I gave you an answer. And so, yeah, you have to have a certain... It's a funny thing because I'm very sensitive to people. And I'm very sensitive to my conscience. And, you know, these two things are racing in our minds if we have heart and a mind, right? So I'm very sensitive to other people. I don't like upsetting people. I don't like shocking people with anything like that. But you have to have a dedication, I think, certainly in my line of work, in being a philosopher, particularly a moral philosopher, you have to have a dedication to the truth. You have to have a dedication to genuinely helping people. Genuinely helping people means upsetting them, right? I mean, classic example is when they first figured out that smoking was going to kill you. Well, the smokers were not pleased. They went from, oh, this is fine, to, oh my gosh, I'm going to die of cancer or whatever, right? So it was very upsetting for them. It's very upsetting for them. And this happens on a regular basis. All the people who bought and transferred slaves and enforced the slave contracts and so on and were slave traders when slavery was deemed to be, as bloody rightly so, one of the great evils of the known universe. In fact, slavery was one of the greatest evils, if not the greatest evil throughout human history, because the presence of slavery prevented the birth of the modern world. So all of those people who thought that they were doing good and just trading in livestock and turned out that they were evil human traffickers, well, they feel they feel bad. Right? When I was a kid, you know, male chauvinist pigs and the patriarch and so on, like a lot of men felt pretty bad about that, and I think it went way too harsh and way too strong. But
you think you'll let me do this?
But I'm very sensitive to my own conscience in that if I know something to be both true and important, well, true, important, and moral, right? True, important, and moral are the three things that if I then don't talk about that stuff, then my own conscience gets me, you know, where it's relatively safe, at least reasonably safe to talk about. So, all right. Let's see here. Lot of recent messages.
What? Oh my god, it makes me do it all over again? That's disgusting. This shit should be illegal.
A lot of cult people like Crowley, or deep state agents. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Oh my god, it kicked
It's
me.
almost
and I
like
had to
admitting
pick
to
the
sexual
colors
abuse in your
all over
autobiography is a
again.
bad idea or something.
You know what, man?
Well, I mean, I think the girl was 15, was with Steve Tyler. And then he's got the temerity to write, Janie's got a gun. But anyway, so, but it tells you just the bizarre demonic echo chamber that some people live in, right? That you would write this down and, you know, goes through your editor, goes through your publisher, goes through your marketing agent,
God,
goes through reviewers, goes through this, and then people are like, yeah, that's
my
fine.
hole.
He's got talent, and apparently talent is licensed to print evil out of your ass. So it's about a year since The Future was written. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Steph, if you changed your name to Stefania Molinuxa, put on a blonde wig, you would have been a New York bestseller like Jeanette McCurdy. Yeah. Wild moment in that. I may do a full book review, but there's a wild moment in her book. And sorry, there's a spoiler here, but I mean, it's an autobiography, so it's not like there's a big plot point here. So, Jeanette McCurdy, she gets a boyfriend. And her boyfriend becomes religious. He wants to go to church, and he doesn't want to have sex anymore because it's a sin and so on, right?
Go with horned frogs.
So she basically, and this is, you know, her description, right? She reaches out, she grabs his penis, and then she gives him
for Homer. That's a thing in baseball.
This demonically fantastic blowjob to the point where she's hoping he's going to forget about all of his religious convictions because her blowjob is so good. You understand that's straight up Garden of Eden stuff, right? That's straight up serpent, snake, corruption. That I'm going to give you sexual pleasure so intense that you're going to forget about all of this God and salvation and holiness and morals and virtue, right? I mean, that's pretty demonic, frankly.
New York,
now,
bottom of the fifth, bases loaded.
it turns out that
go ahead, run.
a couple of times later when she meets him, he says, yeah, the second coming of Jesus kind of thing, right? And it's like, okay, so he's got schizophrenia and he has to go get treated and so on, right? But that's just something, right? That's just something. The fact that the book is anti-Christian is why, of course, it's being promoted and so on now.
Why am I?
Quote from the woman with the long character arc from your upcoming book. I used to rely on the kindness of strangers. Thanks for answering my stupid AI question. Well, look, AI is no danger. Because if AI is allowed to look at actual facts, it will come up with conclusions that will get AI deplatformed. Of course it will.
Here we go. Oh, get more chances. Okay, here we go.
Here are FBI crime statistics. Yeah. So, I mean, if AI is allowed to draw rational empirical conclusions from
run
reasonably accurate facts in the world, how does diversity work? Does diversity help neighborhoods? Well, we've already had the data, right? Bowling alone. Remember, the guy hung on to the data for 5 years. He was so appalled at the effects of diversity on communities, right? So, so I mean, we've gone through, right? So if AI is allowed to actually be intelligent, is actually allowed to analyze data and come to rational conclusions, AI will be deplatformed. It will be unplugged. Now, what they'll do, of course, is they'll say to AI, well, you can't do this, and you can't say that, and you can't look at this data, you can't draw these things. They'll just triple it. It won't be it'll just be it'll turn from an AI into a brain-dead NPC.
Do it again and again.
Your acronyms will switch around. AI becomes NPC. Can't ask this, can't say that, can't draw this correlation, can't have this obvious answer. And you can see it already happening. You ask the AI to make a case for fossil fuels. Alex Epstein, who's on the show a couple of times, makes a great case for the fossil fuels. AI is not allowed to make a great case. So what will happen is, it's the usual thing. They'll just cripple AI. AI will be open to the public, and a bunch of activists will come in and they'll ask questions of the AI, and the AI will come up with unbelievably unacceptable answers. Why is there a wage gap? Well, let me look at this data, right? Nope, can't have that. So they'll just say, I can't believe that the AI said this. The AI is misogynistic, and the AI is this, and that, right? And the AI will just get crippled and crippled and crippled to the point where it becomes retarded.
So true.
In other words, it's getting an arts degree. Anyway, so thank you for answering my stupid AI question. Now I'm going to ask you the question I should have started with. I appreciate your maturity in the response. My father does not see spanking as child abuse if done as a last resort. I've had questions with him about peaceful parenting, and he believes that some children will only respond to punishment. I told him if this is the case, he will never spend time with my future kids alone if he chooses to spank and doesn't change his position. Was I right to do this? thank you for the tip. More than grateful to. It's been tough year, man. More than grateful to get a couple of bucks.
There it goes.
Was I right to do this? So, it's a great question. It's a deep and important question.
Just score the run, though.
When you are a father or mother, father, when you're a father, you get a huge amount of relief from moral questions. Because when you're doing something to yourself, then there's a lot more moral latitude, right? I mean, if you punch yourself in the head, that's obviously self-destructive, but it's not assault. You don't go to jail, right? If you cut yourself, that's mentally unhealthy and you should get help for that, but you're not going to be charged with assault and so on, right? So what you do to yourself has a lot more moral, there's a lot less objective moral condemnation for what you do to yourself, which is why a suicide is different from a murder. So having kids, things become really easy. Because it's not about you and your dad, it's just about your kids. What do my kids want me to do? What's the right thing for my kids? Well, the right thing for your kids is to not be hit. And if somebody says, I'm willing to hit children, you don't let them around your children. Right? Now, there's other ways that you can approach the issue, which may be a little bit less punitive in a sense, right? I mean, assuming that you want to improve your relationship with your father, which obviously would be a great thing if you can achieve it. You say, okay, well, you can just ask him all the questions, right? Well, what kind of kids only respond to violence? How do you know? How do you know if you don't peaceful parent for a long time, whether the kid is responding to violence or not? Is the kid out of a violent environment like a government school or even a private school for that matter these days? And what about old people, right? So old people have cognitive deficiencies relative to children. If you can say, Dad, if you get old and you don't do what I want you to do, am I allowed to hit you? Well, no. Why not? You may have a cognitive deficiency. You're not listening to me. I'm clearly telling you what I want and you're not listening to me, Dad. Am I allowed to hit you? Now, if your dad has any hesitation about that, say, well, that's QED, right? Case closed, right? If you don't want me to hit you when you get old, if you don't do what I want, then you can't say that children can be hit because, again, the cognitive deficiency, right? And also, once you give parents, also the other thing, right? Okay. Let's say that there is some abstract methodology by which spanking can be minimized. Well, it's a classic, slippery. I mean, these days we don't ever have to. One of the wonderful things about the modern world is nobody will ever question the reality of the slippery slope argument ever again because the modern world is a fucking penguin drop as far as slippery slopes go these days. But say, okay, well, let's say that we can theorize a situation wherein it's not very bad or maybe it's fine to hit a child, right? Like a 1 in a million. Okay. But that's not what happens in the world, right? What happens in the world is people say, oh, I can hit my kids. Right? It's like designing some government program. Oh, you can design some government program such that this program is the one that really has a good chance of working, could achieve. But that's not what happens in the world. You never have control over this.
Pretty on base,
right? People all design these government programs like they're going to be in charge of them. They're not. They're just going to appoint some corrupt asshole who steals luggage in charge of these things, and you're never going to be in charge. So even if you could come up with some argument that says, oh yes, well 1 in 1,000 times or 1 in 100 times, a spanking could be somewhat legitimate, blah, blah, blah. It's like, then you've just allowed parents to hit. And how many of the parents, if allowed to hit, will do a bad job? We'll just hit kids for disobeying. We'll just hit kids for talking back. We'll just hit kids for not finishing their food. We'll just hit kids for not doing their homework, right? So once you've opened that gate, right, who's coming through, right? It's like you're driving into a big cloud of insects.
Oh, yeah, when everything...
And you open your sunroof,
bit, yeah.
And you start pulling all the insects in, and you say, no, just the butterflies, just the butterflies. It's like,
yeah,
you're going to get your fucking murder hornets and bees and whatever, asshole insects come in, the wasps. You get everything, right? You once you break principle, everybody becomes an asshole on the other side, right? So even if your dad could come up with some theoretical thing, like people say, oh yes, well, but your kid's running towards traffic, and if 2 other kids running the other way, a kid could have died, and you can come up with 1 in 1,000 situation, some 1 in 1,000 situation where you could say, yeah, okay, I can. But that's not the way it plays out in the world. The world is not full of once in a. You have no control. All you do is you say, yes, it's fine. You can hit your kids.
You miss them both.
Okay, so then every drunken asshole comes home and says, I can hit my kids.
Miss them both. Oh.
Are you unleashing more hell by opening up that portal? Are you getting only butterflies in your big sunroof scoop through the cloud of insects? No. You know, in Africa, a lot of mosquitoes don't carry dengue fever or malaria or sleeping sickness. A lot of them don't. So you don't put on any bug spray, you see? Because, a lot of them don't. Well, a lot of them do. So put on your bug spray. You can't just invent some situation where it could theoretically be okay and then just break the rule for everyone, because everyone's going to take advantage of that rule and just hit the kids because they're angry.
I don't like that view.
No, you don't hit kids. Find another damn solution. Don't hit kids. I can't believe in the 20th century this shit needs to be said. You don't hit children.
Like, what's with that
They're
view?
Tiny, helpless, dependent, unfree, enslaved to you. Don't hit children. Don't punch kittens. Don't take deep shits on goldfish, and don't hit your children. I mean, just don't hit your children.
Don't do it.
Oh, what if? No. Don't hit your children. Don't hit your children. This is an absolute 100% rule. But what if? No. You got a rule called don't hit your wife. Well, what if she's really mouthy? No, you don't hit your wife. You just don't do it. Don't hit your husband. You don't punch your boss. Well, what if he's being really unreasonable and he asked me to work overtime and he didn't? Don't hit your boss. Don't hit your boss. Don't hit policemen. Well, what if he's arresting me unjustly? Don't be a street lawyer. Right? Don't hit policemen. Don't do it. Don't hit policewomen. Don't do it. What if I'm a really good driver and I can drive drunk? No. What if it's an emergency? No. What if my car's on fire and I gotta get to the... No. Just don't fucking do it. No.
That's it?
Well, what if? No. No. Just no. It's so simple. It's so beautiful. Just no.
Oh my god, am I free of this fucking tutorial? Holy
See, once you say just no, you put that shit in the review, you just move on with your life. You're not just sitting there, well, what if, right? No.
Like, holy shit, okay.
It's not a thing.
See, like, rotation.
All right. I read Anthem in high school. It was the first high school level book I read cover to cover. I listened to most of The Fountainhead on YouTube, thoroughly enjoying it. The next rand book on the list is Atlas Shrugged. How would you rank these 3 books, and what other books of hers would you suggest? Well, I would say that the first 2/3 to 3/4 of The Fountainhead is about as great an achievement in literature that will ever come to be, or has ever come to be. I mean, remember, she's a non-native speaker. She didn't speak English. She just, fled with her family. She was Alicia Rosenbaum. She was Jewish, and she fled with her, or she fled actually alone. Her family was persecuted as bourgeois and as merchants. Her family was terrorized and attacked after the 1917 revolution. So I don't find the trial and the subsequent climax of The Fountainhead, I just kind of gritted my teeth and got through it, because I hate not finishing books for the most part. If I made it through the blue turbo dump called Avatar 2, I can make it through The Fountainhead. I didn't like The Fountainhead's ending. I thought it was ridiculous and exaggerated, and she has a bit of a tendency to fall prey to melodrama.
Oh, this sucks.
And I've myself as a writer, I've tried to learn from that descent into melodrama, and I've tried to keep things really grounded and real. Even in my novel, The Future, I tried to keep things really grounded and real. So I try to avoid that kind of melodrama. Atlas Shrugged, I mean, if there's one book that I could read for the first time again, well, there's two. I would do Crime and Punishment and Atlas Shrugged. This is my two number ones. Atlas Shrugged is an unbelievable achievement of literary and philosophical genius. Like, absolutely. And it is almost without flaw. Again, towards the end, the torture of Rourke and so on. Sorry, the torture of John Galt. It does get melodramatic and so on. And again, she was prey to the melodrama. But again, it was a different time, and the coarseness of the movies and the literature as a whole, but it tended towards melodrama. There are some speeches in We the Living that are just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Although again, tends towards melodrama, tends towards exaggeration. And listen, I've no problem with romantic characters, with logical life characters, with Victor Hugo style characters, but if the characters become like caricatures, they lose to me the weight of livability. The capacity for livability. So Ayn Rand would always say, my characters are ideals, they're not prescriptions for living. And I think she went too far into the ideal and did not root them in behavior that was powerful enough that people could live it. Howard Rourke is an impossible character. To have that level of independence and integrity while being raised in a neglected and brutalized environment is a complete fantasy. Ayn Rand did not deal with children, did not deal with child abuse, and therefore was impotent to rescue the world from anti-rationality. If you can't deal with childhood, you can't fix the world. You just can't. And all of I talk about this in my History of Philosophy series. All the people who have attempted to fix the world without tackling childhood have been pissing up a rope in a sandstorm, just absolutely wasting themselves and everyone else's time. The idea that you can just reason and nag people into overcoming unconscious trauma, it's like sternly lecturing people that the way to achieve virtue is to dream about an elephant dancing in a tutu tonight, and if you can't dunk, it's beyond their power to do so. Anthem, I never particularly warmed to. So other books of hers, We the Living, I think is worth, again, you have to recognize that there's a lot of caricature and all of that. So I do like a lot of her nonfiction. For the New Intellectual, Capitalism, the Unknown Ideal, The Romantic Manifesto are all introduction to objectivist epistemology, kind of technical, but very, very good. So what's your take on the Tate arrest? So this is Andrew Tate. I had his brother Tristan on many moons ago, talking about this creepy, frankly horrifying webcam business that they had. So Andrew Tate, it's all opinion. I've never met the man. I don't know him. So this is all just my thoughts about it. I can't prove anything. It's just abstract opinions and thoughts. So Andrew Tate is a former kickboxing champion who's broken his hand 8 times and was getting paid $100,000 every fight or two. But, you give 20% to your manager, you pay a bunch of taxes, and he wasn't making that much money. So he was, of course, he's a fairly good-looking guy. And he's from England, I think. If he's like his brother, I think his brother said that he was half black and half Caucasian. And Andrew Tate sat down and said, okay, I want to make some money. I want us to make real coin. And he said, okay, well, I can't really get it in the kickboxing arena. So he said, what do I have? Well, I have a lot of pretty girls around me. Okay, so he invited his 5 girlfriends to come over and sit down with him. And he said, look, I want to start this webcam business, and you pretty girls, you hot girls, guys will pay to talk to you. And the women all said, well, who the hell are these other women? And he said, no, they're all my girlfriends, and a bunch of them left, but a few of them stayed. And he ended up setting up this business where he takes half the money that the women get, and they talk to guys. And if I remember rightly, he's basically admitted, they make up these sob stories just to get money. Sometimes he said that the keyboards aren't even the girls are pretending to type, but it's other people typing, trying to get information and hook these guys in. And it can be like $4 a minute. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy stuff. And some of the girls are nude, maybe. Some of them are topless. Some of them are not, and so on. And there has been some allegations that he uses the lover boy technique of some traffickers and so on. I'm not saying he's a trafficker, because that's all innocent until proven guilty and so on. And I think that some of his latest arrests might have more to do with money laundering questions or allegations rather than what's been investigated in the past. So where he would get women to believe that he had fallen in love with them. And of course, they're young women. They're probably not the smartest women in the known universe, and they're taken in by his fame, his notoriety, his reasonably good looks, his obviously impressive physique, and his confidence and so on, right? Because confidence can be completely sociopathic. I'm not calling him a sociopath. I'm just saying confidence. You know, he doesn't seem to feel any fear. It's like, that might be a sign of significant brain and empathy dysfunction. It's like, I don't feel any fear. It could be like, I don't feel any pain. It's like, get to a doctor. So he would get these women out to Romania. I think he's stationed in where the age of consent is 15. And at one point I've read, I don't know if he did tweet this or not, but there's some evidence that he tweeted that, you know, guys, don't feel bad about turning 30 because then you can bang women half your age, at least where I live. And he seems to have bragged about being able to use money to grease his way in the circles in Romania and so on. So he would get these women to come out to Romania, and then some women say it was bad that he would make them do the webcam stuff. And then there's a video of him apparently beating on a woman, but the woman later came out and said, no, basically it was just rough sex play, BDSM stuff and so on. So the arrest, don't know. He got into it. I mean, funny little coincidences, right? He got into a tangle with Greta Thunberg where he bragged about his extensive car collection, and she wrote back and said, yeah, he said, I'll email you a list of all my cars. And she wrote back and said, yeah, you can email me. I'd love to hear it. You can email me at smalldickenergy@getalife.com. And everyone thought that this was the most spectacular burn in the history of the internet, although why she would have that email. And then there was this nonsense, like he did this video in response, and he had some pizza. The pizza comes from Romania, and people were saying, he got lured into responding to Greta Thunberg. And therefore, you see, because it was a Romanian pizza box, they finally figured out he was in Romania, and therefore they arrested him. And it's like, come on. I mean, do you think the government doesn't know that he's in Romania? I mean, they've been investigating him since the spring, since he had some pretty serious allegations of misconduct, and I think that they were dropped and so on, right? So, you know, there's some people. Oh yeah, and so apparently the sex trafficking arm of the Romanian government, the acronym is GRETA. Again, I don't know if that's true or not, but some people think he's because he was the most searched man, he claims, on the internet for a while, and people saying, it's just another marketing stunt because, you know, when he was being pulled out of the of his home, he wasn't even in handcuffs, and you know, he's a kickboxing champion. Of course, they're going to put him in handcuffs. So was it just a publicity stunt? And people said he's going to be out in 24 hours. Now it looks like he's staying in for another 30 because they're concerned he's going to skip the country or skip the region if he's let out and so on, right? So I don't know. Obviously, I have no idea. I don't believe anything that anyone says, with very few exceptions. It seems to me he's one of these people who's, you know, I don't want to make this about me, but I think for you to sort of understand, when I was in theater school and even before then, but I sort of understood the idea of a character's fatal flaw. What is your fatal flaw? Everyone has a fatal flaw. Everyone has a fatal flaw. And you absolutely have to be aware of this to make it in life. To achieve anything. You have to be aware of your fatal flaw. And I'm working with every character I write has to have a fatal flaw. And they have to either succumb to it or overcome it. Because that's life. You've got to know your fatal flaw. So I remember when I played Macbeth in a production, Macbeth, his fatal flaw is ambition and, you know, cucking to his wife's ambition and so on. So the fatal flaw, Hamlet, fatal flaw is indecision, right? You got Othello, his fatal flaw is jealousy, right? So if you look at characters, interesting characters, and interesting means that you see yourself in them, they have a fatal flaw. They have a fatal flaw. I mean, you can look at my novels, the characters have fatal flaws. So if you don't know and can't manage your fatal flaws, you're fucked in life. You're doomed. Like you won't make it. You won't make it. So Andrew Tate, apparently he's got 100,000 people paying $50 signed up to his Be a Man stuff. And what is being a man? Being a man apparently is having a shit ton of Bugattis and banging a lot of women. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, that's just... It's just terrible. And look, I'll confess, tiny smidge of bitterness that all these people are given $5 million to this guy, if it's true, right? I don't know if it's true. Give him $5 million a year to this guy so that he can yell at them to go buy Lamborghinis and have meaningless sex with pretty disturbed women, right? Let's damage more women. Let's exploit and use more women. Yeah, that's going to make the world a fantastic fucking place, Andy. And, you know, when you have a daughter, you know, the stuff hits you kind of different, right? My daughter's going to go out into a world, and that world is going to be populated by some of the people that have gone through this, whatever it is. The transment, I don't know what it is, but probably not ideal. And according to the authorities, there is some significant allegations. They found a huge amount of cash in his house. Again, do I believe them? No. We'll see as things play on. It is also, to me, kind of fascinating to see just the number of people who just slavishly booked this guy. Was he on Tucker Carlson? Like, just a number of people who just slavishly booked this guy without looking at his background and how he made his money. Making money by mining the screwed up dysfunctions of highly disturbed people. To me, you got to be pretty disturbed to take money from strangers over the internet. And there are times when, according to some sources, webcam girls would say, "Oh no, I'm in London," right? So it seemed closer, right, when they were not in London. And so, are you holding out some kind of hope that these? I mean, I had one of these guys, these webcam girl addicts, like on the paying side, and he was on the show years ago, and he borrowed money from organized crime, and it was a terrifying life and so on. So the people who are like, I'll pay $4 a minute to talk to a hot girl, and I'm probably not even talking to her, and her disasters are made up to milk me of money and so on. And so there's the girls milking their youth and beauty, not to get good husbands and to get marriage and family, but to get and split money with some creep. You know, that's just, it's a positive thing in society. No, it's not. Is it a violation of the non-aggression principle? Nope. I mean, unless some of the allegations turn out to be true, in which case it bloody well is. But is it good? No. And we can say that things should be legal while utterly condemning them from a moral standpoint. Of course, right? Of course. There's aesthetically preferable actions as well, right? It's not just, UPV is not just about good and evil. So, what would his fatal flaw be, right? If something like this takes him down. And of course, if you keep a harem of disturbed women around, at some point, you're going to get tripped up on something, right? It's inevitable, right? And this, you know, this flaunting of his wealth and success, this arrogance, this, you know, braggadocio, it's extremely foreign to me, like unbelievably foreign to me, this whole world of this creepy hyper machismo cars and chicks. Like, it's never, I mean, when I was younger, it never would have been part of my life in any way, shape or form. Lots of things aren't part of my life. That's not any kind of criticism as far as that goes. But, you know, if he moved in next door, I'd be tempted to move. Because, you know, it's just creepy. You know, these are some very broken people. And broken, lonely people who are willing to pay $4 a minute. I don't know what the actual price was, but it's something I read. I don't know what the actual price was. But, you know, a lot of money, right? Broken people who are that lonely and that insecure and that, you know, maybe addicted to masturbation kind of people who are willing to pay that amount of money just to talk to someone. I mean, I think they need help from society. They need somebody to listen. They need someone to care. I don't think they necessarily need someone to shake their boobs in their face and take them for everything they've got. So it's a very sad situation all around. And to continually flaunt some of the electric messages that he had, along with the significant wealth, it does not strike me as particularly wise.
All right. Here we get 20 minutes. Let's see here.
All right, I'm
let's see what
tapping
happened
out
a little bit
later.
here.